back to Elevator Freedoms
Yeah.
podcast. If this isn't your first time here, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time here at Elevated Freedom, we are a group of like-minded people just setting goals to crush our everyday life. Thanks for being here. Make sure you subscribe and follow, and let's get into it. Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I just got back from a trip like we were talking about before this episode, so I'm feeling refreshed, have my drive back, have my goals laid out in front of me, and I'm ready to get going.
I think it's funny that you say you feel refreshed because as we just got talking about, even on vacation, man, you still got to get up early. 3:50, 4 o'clock.
I did. I got up at 3:50 and I did a ton of reading and I did some prep for the podcast. I did a lot of things, but when you love what you do and when you care about helping others, you do that stuff. And when you want to improve yourself, like there are no days off. Like I'm on vacation, but I enjoy improving myself. And that's why it's not like it's work. It's not like, I want to read my book. I want to get better every day. So even on vacation, I focus on that stuff and I still have a schedule.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Last time I was on vacation, just dating back to when me and you really got into this, I was on vacation and it wasn't as disciplined as I could have been, but definitely, I mean, that was the first time I ever went to Maine and worked out most of the days that I was there and ran most, which is awesome. But today we're going to be talking about procrastination and stacking wins. Now, procrastination, I feel like is not what people think it is. People think, oh, well, I'm just a procrastinator. I can't get that done. And oh, if I do say I'm going to do it, I'm not. I'm going to wait till last minute. And I can tell you from being a person that did procrastinate with every single thing in life until I found 75 hard fitness, discipline, accountability, all the things we talk about. I didn't understand this. Now, procrastination is the result of something else. And what I mean by that is if you have a paper that you need to write for school, but you're nervous, right? You're going to procrastinate, but you're not procrastinating. Like, that's not who you are. There's a deeper meaning to that, right? So, that deeper meaning is you're just scared of it. So, I feel like one thing that helped me is once you dig in and find out what the root cause of that procrastination actually is, you can push through and be like, oh, well, I'm not a procrastinator. I'm scared to write papers. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Then we'll roll into something else. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I think that's a phenomenal point, and I think you're right. I think people look at procrastination in the wrong lens because it's really more like you put it. It's the scaredness of failing. It's not knowing what it's going to take to get this done. It's just you give yourself all these negative thoughts before you even dive into whatever that task is that needs done. So of course you're going to go into it, and of course you're going to procrastinate because you're literally you think you're going into this unknown thing, but it's really not that complicated. So that was a great point.
And another thing, too, is that procrastination is not just like people who aren't disciplined, right? I want you to sit here and say out loud, I, Matt, am a procrastinator because I still am. Everybody's going to procrastinate in their own way. It doesn't matter. You could be the most disciplined and most successful. There's going to be something that you procrastinated. So this is like we talked about in other episodes with discipline and accountability. It's a muscle. It's something that we have to work on. Now, is my procrastination better than it was a year ago? Yeah, absolutely. I'll just dive in. And when I was doing 75 hard, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're doing a fitness challenge," and I was like, "It's not even that for me." When I did 75 hard, it was not about the fitness. Now I was 270 pounds, so looking back now, it kind of was about the fitness. But for me, when I got first put on the 75 hard, it was like, do the things you say you're going to do, and like I didn't. So that was my when people would ask me like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What's your goal? What's your motive?" It would be because I'm tired of not doing the things I said I want to do.
And to add to that, I think you're tired of not knowing where your time is. You're
Correct.
tired of not knowing, like, man, I have this whole day, and it seems like, I go to work, and then I get home, and then I go back to bed, and I wake up and I go to work again. And it's like there's more to life than that. And you see some people that seems like, and I remember prior to just getting a new outlook on life, and getting to a place where I actually take care of myself and my day and my tasks. I used to look at people and I would be like, well, I just don't know how they do it. I
It's
don't
my
know how they
favorite
seem to
thing.
have I I'm telling you, man, it's like I don't know how these people, it's like they have it figured out, and it's not a secret. You just actually use your time. And that's what 75 Hard taught you, and whether it be 75 Hard or whatever else, it's just about having those tasks like we always talk about and actually accomplishing those things. So then you can go to
Mhm.
sleep at the end of the day and be like, "Oh, well, I did actually get some stuff done today. Like I did more than just work. I did this and I did this and I did this." And you got these tasks done that you set out for yourself, and you realize that your life is more than just work and sleep and then waiting for the weekend.
Yeah. In my research also, I found that there's two primary, I think there's more than two, but there's like two primary ways of like breaking the day down. And one's, I think it was like a 25 minute on and then like 40-minute off or something like that. I don't remember the specifics. I'd have to look it up again and be better prepared for next time. But the other way is like we talked about last episode. And if you haven't listened to it, go back, listen to episode 3. It's about consistency and discipline. And I really enjoyed that episode. But anyways, it was like you break down your day into chunks. And like Brandon said last time, you feel good. And like Brandon just said too, like you feel good at the end of the day. You know you did the task that you set out to do. And part of getting through that, one is the muscle, just doing it. And other is to find out what that trigger is. So when you feel like yourself procrastinating, think to yourself, why am I doing this? Like, am I doing this because I'm scared? Okay, well, is it really that scary to sit down and write a paper? Is it really that scary to go out and do the telephone pole run where you run to one, you stop for two, how whatever gets you on your feet? Like it's if you really break it down, it's I feel personally in the things that I have done, it's not that scary. Now there are some things that like when I first started getting on the camera, that was terrifying, but I just did it. And the also like poor part about procrastination is that a lot of it is subconscious. So part of that you need to get in and be aware of what's going on around you. Like don't check out for the day. Be looking around and look at like what's going on around me. So then you'll start to feel your brain like, oh, I need to go start writing this paper. Well, let me go pet the dog first, or let me get on TikTok, or let me go on Instagram and check out what Elevated Freedom's doing. I mean, you should still do that, but you know,
Exactly.
well, after you've completed your task.
Yeah, no,
So,
for sure. That should be one of your tasks, I
yeah,
think, every day.
first
No,
thing, wake
no.
up, check Elevated Freedom.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
after lunch and in the afternoon and
Before bed,
before bed.
it's task 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and
Yeah.
then, whatever you wanna do after that is your own business, but but no, I really think, speaking of 75 Hard, and just the program as a whole is based on the concept of critical tasks, and 75
Mhm.
Hard isn't alone in this concept of having critical tasks. But what 75 Hard does is it tells you have to do these 5 things or whatever it is a day. And you realize that, well, in order to get this done, I have to actually look at this and I have to schedule it. And when bumps in the road come, I have to be able to pivot and adapt and still get this task done, because I have to do this for 75 days straight, or 20 days straight, or however you want to tackle your own critical tasks. So it's about setting yourself up for success. And I think, like you said, we're in a society where we're always looking for that quick fix of entertainment or whatever. But when you have a program or a life where you live based on these tasks, you actually know that you have to get it done. So it's something that you already know the day before, and you've talked about this many times, which is planning the day before is going to set you up for success. So if you know you have to do these 5 things the next day, well, then you already know before you go to bed, like, I have to get this done. I have to get these things done. So it's about setting yourself up for success and knowing that you do have the time to get these things done, whatever they may be. It's just about using your time wisely.
The time. I feel like we could have an whole episode on just time management. There's still things that I do that I mess up on time management. Nobody's perfect, but it's definitely something that you should work on. And I hate listening to people don't that well. It irritates me here seeing people that aren't on the same path as me, and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have time to go to the gym," and it's like, well, you are gonna sit on your phone or play video games for 4 hours. Like, you're not giving anything to yourself.
You don't have the time to not do the things for yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing, people. Like, it's not a joke, and it's not a it's not this mystery. Like, you don't have time to live your entire life not doing the important things for yourself. Because the only road that leads to is a place where you're not happy, you're not fulfilled. And I understand that people there's special circumstances for every rule. But the fact is, like, you have to carve that time out for yourself. It's literally the only thing that matters. Your time on this earth and your time every single day is the most valuable commodity you have. And everybody's said it a million times, but it really is. Like, you have to make the most out of every second. And when you're spending hours a day on your phone and saying you don't have time to do these things, it's just not true. But we're talking about procrastination, and like you said, where that all ties in is the fear of, well, maybe I don't know how I'm going to get all these things done every day. But like I said, so then you schedule it out. You take that fear out of it because you already plan it the day ahead. And you say, "Yeah, this is how I'm going to get it done." You lay it out. You lay every task out, when you're going to get it done, how you're going to get it done. Let's take the fear out of the equation. Let's take that uncertainty out of the equation and have it all laid out. So that way, procrastination, we don't have to worry about that anymore because we already know what we're doing the next day.
Hmm.
Let's just avoid it altogether.
I always love to put my clothes out the night before. That's like one of the biggest things I do. One thing I'll probably start doing next is setting the coffee pot, because I usually am half asleep trying to make coffee. But I feel like it also wakes me up a little bit too. So that's like one of those critical tasks in the morning. First thing, make coffee, and then go on with my day.
I heard Chad Wright talk about that on a podcast, and ever since I heard him say it, it's something that I've incorporated in my life, and it's been huge. And like you said, you are half asleep, but my thing every morning now is I wake up, I go brush my teeth, and I immediately go down and make coffee. So I get it all, set up, and I clean the pot. Like, I do the whole thing. I don't clean it the night before. Judge me if you want. But it's a part of my process. Like, I want to have to clean it. Like, because otherwise it's almost too easy. Like, I need this thing that says, well, this is how my day starts.
Hmm.
And getting into the other part of this podcast, which is the stacking wins, cleaning the coffee pot and making coffee isn't necessarily this huge extravagant win. But for me, it's how I start my day. I know I have to get up, and immediately I know I have something I need to do. I have to go make my coffee. Caffeine addiction, it's possible. The fact is, I need it. So we're just going to go there. Maybe someday I'll solve that, but for now, we're not going to solve it.
It's
But
part of your critical task. You got to keep it.
yeah, exactly. That one's a habit now. I can move that one off the list.
Yeah.
but but yeah, man, it's about, so you have that schedule, and then you start building off of that. So I made my coffee. Well, now I can go get my shower, I can get ready, and well, now I have to go read my book. Like, I have the same, and everybody shows their morning routine and whatever else, and I don't really care what your routine looks like as long as it's good for you and it's benefiting you and it's setting you up for a successful day. That's all that really matters. So find the things every morning that will get your brain in motion and working towards the things that you need to get done that day, no matter what that looks like.
I think part of that too is kind of what you were talking about a little bit, is the consistency of it. Like, every single day, you're gonna wake up, you're gonna make coffee. So if you like, don't change it. Once you set something, leave it, and as long as it's working, don't change it. So you're taking the guesswork out of it. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you make coffee. You know what you're doing. The first three things you know, or I guess waking up is the first one, but yeah. So the first three things, you know what you're doing. So it takes the guesswork out of that, and you just roll on to your next task or the list you set out the day before on your phone or whatever. And you're like, I need to get this done, and this done. So now you've stacked those wins in the beginning, rolling on to stacking wins, and now you've been up 2.5, 3 hours. We get up at 4, and I gotta be to work at 7, so I'm up 3 hours before I go to work, and I've already accomplished more in that short amount of time, stacking those wins than most other people have, and it feels so good to walk into work knowing that I I've already done all these things. It builds my confidence. It helps me and like move throughout the day. Like something happens at work. I mean, work is irritating. Everybody knows work is irritating. It can be, depending on what position you're in. And I already know that. Well, this thing at work is irritating me, but I already got schoolwork done. I've made my coffee. I've showered. I've brushed my teeth. I posted a reel. I did something for a business. I did something for me before I did anything for anybody else. And people will show up to work and kill it at work, and I'm so thankful for that, for the workers that I do have that do show up and kill it every day. But if you take some of that energy and you refocus it, and you do that to yourself, in a year's time your whole life is going to be changed.
And sometimes going off what you're talking about, on the days where my morning routine is out of whack or I wake up late or whatever happens, because we, like I said, none of us are perfect. We're always working every single day to try to get better.
Mhm.
The days that I don't do it, I have a way worse day. And like mentally, I'm not there because it's almost like there's, like I said, that brain gets set in motion based on the things that you do every day that are the same. I mean, we're creatures of habit. So when I go to work and I woke up late, I mean, I didn't even make my coffee or this or that. It puts me in this mindset where it's hard to focus, it's hard to accomplish the things I need to get done. So having that routine benefits you so much because it literally gets you going for the day. And like you said, it makes you feel accomplished before you even showed up. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that brushing my teeth and showering is like a win. But what I am saying is that it's part of a routine that allows me to show up to work prepared and not procrastinate because I have to. That's the other thing with a morning routine like that is you can't procrastinate and still get this stuff done. Like if you get up at 4 and you have to be to work at 7, you end up building a routine that takes this whole period of time.
Mhm.
So if you decide to slip up on some things, you can't accomplish it. So it has to be done. So you started your day by getting task done before you even showed up to work. So now you're ready to roll into your day and perform at a high level because you've already been doing it since 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whenever you get up.
It's amazing too that the people that like do get messed up like you're talking about. I'm the same way. If I don't like it'll throw my whole day off. And this analogy I like to think about in my own head is like, you ever be sitting in traffic or sitting at a red light rather, and the light turns green and the car in front of you is still holding their brakes, and they then realize that, oh no, I'm still holding my brakes, the light's green, so they mash the gas to jump out and get out of the way, to get on their way, that they feel like they're behind. That's how I feel when I don't get that wins, those wins in the morning, or if I'm late, and then the whole day I just feel like I'm late. So we can mitigate part of that feeling by having accountability to ourselves and the discipline, and doing that stuff consistently every single day, and pushing through so we're not stuck at that green light.
I agree. And I think the other thing about it is it's like we talked about in last week's episode, which is the momentum that you build by actually doing the things. When you procrastinate, you're letting yourself down because you had something that you knew needed done for whatever reason you decided not to do it or push it off or whatever. But when you do that, you failed yourself. And mentally, but don't I don't want people to take this because even after last week's episode, I don't want you to take these small failures and think, well, your day is over. Your day's not over. It's just time to, okay, have some empathy for yourself. Realize that you missed something. Like, don't just let it slide, but also don't ruin your whole day about it or put yourself down about it. Just get on the horse, get to the next task, knock it out. Like, we can't focus so much on our failures. We have to focus on the wins, because if all you do is focus on the failures, you're not going to want to do it. So look at those small wins that you have every day and use those as confidence builders to keep going. So then you won't want to procrastinate next time, because now you've already done this task before. You've been here before. You've shown up before. So now that fear, that worry, the uncertainty, that stuff goes away because you don't procrastinate anymore. You're not a procrastinator. We all are going to be, once again. So don't be hard on yourself when it happens, but know what your tasks are every day. Show up for yourself and knock them out. So that way you don't have that worry anymore. There is no more uncertainty. You are showing up for yourself every day and knocking those things out.
I saw this post that was it was a staircase with landings in the middle. It had like four landings on the way up. Because success in your day, like self mastery stuff, is not just a linear straight up, and it never will be. There's things that are going to happen, right? But if you break your day down in this four landing staircase, how it's going to be? Well, you go up 10 steps and then you have a landing. And you go up 10 more steps and then you have a landing. Well, setting yourself up and stacking those wins is going to put that piece in there that is going to help you go up, and there's not going to be a landing anymore. So you can just keep going up on those stairs until you get to your goal for the day, or even if it's to your ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is to run a marathon and you don't want to plateau, like, have the motivation and the discipline to put those little pieces in between, so that way you can climb that staircase and get to your goal, and add those little things, that those little wins in, is just going to keep helping you progress up that staircase. And I don't want to make
And
that also sound like this will make it linear. It's not going to be linear. There's going to be like pitfalls, but it'll help for sure.
it will. And going back to what I was talking about there, in regards to what you're talking about, achievement is something that everybody strives for, right?
Mhm.
If you've ever been at work and you've gotten an award, or somebody said, "Man, you're looking good," and you had just lost 20 pounds or whatever, that feeling you get is unlike any other, and everybody's experienced at some point or another. Even if you're at the lowest point in your life, you know what that feeling was when you felt good about something, or you did something well and you were recognized for it. So do that for yourself, because mentally, it's going to put you in the mindset that you're going to crave that achievement over and over again. And then, like I said, the procrastination will start lessening, like you and I have seen. It'll start backing off because, well, you remember what that achievement and that success felt like, even if it's in small ways. So celebrate your small wins. Don't give up because of your failures, and celebrate every single time you achieve, because it's going to keep pushing you and you're going to crave that and you're going to keep getting better. And something I just want to add, something I read today, it said consistency and hard work beats cocky and complacency.
Mhm.
And I love that. And it's so true. And it's something that we all need to take to heart, and that's what I mean by the don't let your failures ruin your entire thing, and keep looking to the achievements, because those small wins are better than one big win. Because, like, one guy might jump 10 steps, but then he hits that landing. But the other guy, well, he's been winning and he puts that piece in that he needs to keep going. So while the other guy's stuck on this landing, you're still going. Even though you're going slower, you're actually passing him because you're actually moving up those stairs when he had to take a break. So it's something that needs to be thought about, and it's something to look at those achievements and keep pushing those forward so you can keep growing and keep building.
Something that Nick Bear always says that has always stuck with me ever since the first time I heard it was consistently good, not occasionally great. And I feel like that's kind of what you were getting at. Just crush it every single day. Stack those wins. And those wins on the day is going to turn into the week, into the month. And now you know it's a year later and you're a different person than you were. I feel totally different now than I did a year ago. If you would have seen the depressed, unhappy, fat Matt a year ago. I mean, I there was nothing. I was focusing on the negativity. I'm a firm believer that you get what you put out. So if I'm only focusing on those failures, I'm gonna get more failures coming my way because that's all I'm focusing on. Now, if I start my morning and I stack that first win, whatever that win is, then I'm gonna focus on that win. And if I do hit a failure, I can focus back on my win. Be like, well, that sucks, but this morning I did get up and I did get that paper done that I wanted to get done.
Yeah, man, and I do wanna talk about one elephant in the room, which is people are gonna listen. If you've listened to all 4 of our podcasts, you're gonna say, "Well, all these things sound kinda similar to me." And as I talk in these podcasts week after week, I felt the same way. But what I want you to realize, if you're listening and you have listened consistently, and if you haven't, go back and listen, or you don't need to. But this is a whole picture, right? We're talking about our whole lives. We want to build a well-rounded, whole vision of what your life should be. It's not about being really good, and that's that cocky and complacent thing. It's not about being really good at one thing. It's about being pretty good at everything and building a well-rounded vision of who you're going to be and then working towards that goal. So if everything sounds similar week to week, it's because they're building blocks, and it's just like the stacking wins. So every week we talk about different topics that all kind of play together, and all intertwine in certain ways, but they all matter and they all hold importance. So if you hear us referencing other stuff from other weeks, it's because this is the whole picture. We're trying to build a whole well rounded person that's going to push you to a new level of happiness and a new level of freedom that you haven't experienced before.
Elevated freedom. That's what we want. That's the name of the game. Like Brandon was just talking about. We want everybody to be well rounded. Even me and Brandon. That's the goal. That's our purpose here. Is we're not perfect. And I'm not going to claim to be perfect either. I still don't wake up in the morning. I still bonk on my nutrition. This past week for me, nutrition wasn't the best. So I know coming into the next day or this next week, that's something that I'm going to put more priority towards. But just have the accountability to yourself to look at what your triggers are so you don't have that procrastination happen, or you can learn how to mitigate it. And in turn, you will then start stacking those wins to live that better life. And like I said previously, that's the whole goal here at Elevated Freedom. And you can stay consistent, disciplined, accountable, and not procrastinate, which like Brandon was just talking about, it's those building blocks, which those are all the episodes that we've talked about so far to build that well-rounded person. And you can catch those episodes on Spotify, on Apple Pod, on Buzzsprout, and you can follow us on our day to day on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And if you follow us there, you'll see what we are doing consistently every day to stack our wins for ourselves. And reach out to us. Tell us what your goal is. So that way we can help you, you can help us, and we can grow together in this like minded community of elevated freedom. That's all I got for today. I appreciate you listening in, and we'll catch you in the next one.